All right, everybody, we're back with another news feed here for you. This one, right off the bat, kicking it off. This really upsets me. This makes my blood boil. So now it's about this GTD car, this Mustang, but we don't care what car it's about. It's the fact that they're doing this and other brands have done it too. But what it is, Ford imposes massive restriction on a Mustang GTD buyers. Car flippers will not like it. All right, so here it is right here. Ford just came up with a restriction that might make car flippers reconsider. Those who buy the Ford Mustang GTD will not be permitted to sell their car during the first 2 years of ownership. Ford has learned from other car makers' mistakes and will not make them. To prevent car flipping, the auto giant imposes a massive restriction on those who buy the ultra-special Mustang GTD. According to the clause in the purchase contract, GTD owners will not be able to resell their car for the first 24 months after acquiring the model. It says the company is serious about it and will bring whoever breaches that clause to court. All right, so let's unpack that for a minute. So, sorry. Ford says, listen, you want to buy our car, we're not going to let you buy it and then turn around in 2 years and sell it for a profit. You don't get to do that. But yet, for the past decade, all through COVID, all through the pandemic, through the supply shortages, all still to this day on many Ford products and all this stuff, they let their dealers take things like the Ranger Raptors, the F-150 Raptor R, the Bronco Raptor, their Mustang Dark Horse. They let them take all these vehicles and they let them mark them up. They let them mark up the MSRP and charge us more money for them so that the dealer gets to make more profit and they don't have a problem with that. Ford's like, you guys do whatever you want to. But now when a person who wants to go through the trouble of getting on a list, securing their order, putting down their deposit on a vehicle, and doing this, and their intention is to drive it for a year and then turn around and sell it for more money than they paid for it, which is nothing wrong with, but now Ford is telling them they don't get to do that. But it's still okay for their dealerships to charge $10,000, $15,000, $5,000 markups on all of their vehicles. That's fine. They can do that. But you, the consumer, you don't get that luxury. That's what's happening here. That's exactly what Ford's saying. And other brands have done it too. Okay, they're not the only ones that play these games. And it said Ford will reportedly produce a limited run of only 1,000 of these GTDs. So there it is, very cool. They're only making 1,000, and they want to make sure that no car flippers will be on that list of 1,000 customers. This means that every buyer will have to agree to a clause that forbids the resale of the vehicle as reported. So here, Ford reveals that 7,500 people applied for the Mustang GTD. The automaker will roll out between 300 and 700 cars per year. So that's not a lot. And so these people are going to wait some time. John Hennessy was one of the ones that he's on that exclusive list to get one right off the bat. This car starts at $325,000. It's got a supercharged 5.2 V8 in it, pumps out 815 horsepower. Very cool. But imposing resale restrictions on customers is something that's become quite common among car makers. Porsche did it on their 911, keeping flippers at bay. Rolls-Royce has done it. Aston Martin has done it. GM, 3 years ago, GM limited the transferability of certain warranties and banned a sale from placing on future order reservations if they sold a Corvette Z06, an Escalade V, or a Hummer EV during the first 12 months of ownership. Tesla Cybertruck plays the same game. Who are they to tell us with money that we cannot do, or what we can do with a product that we purchased from them in full? We sign it. This is a $325,000 car, as you see right here. We're going to walk in and we're going to sign that bill and we're going to give them $325,000. Who is Ford or any of these companies to tell us what we can and can't do with a vehicle or a product we purchased and we own outright? They don't get that luxury. And like I said, why don't they reel in their own dealership network? Why do we, the customer, get screwed by markups all the time, and dealer additional markups? In Ford and GM and Toyota especially, they come back and they say, that's out of our hands. Once they buy it from us, we can't do anything about that. Well, how about once we buy this from you, you can't do anything about that. But now you're saying you can. You can solve this here and smack us around, a little guy. We can get hit. But no, the dealership network, we can't do nothing. We can't do nothing against them. It's all pretty interesting when you see it. There's no information on the consequences for those who breach the agreement and sell their Mustangs, but there would be no consequences had they came after me for this, and I did that. I would have my attorneys rip them apart based on their practices and what they do anyway. Like I said, what a joke. It's just a scare tactic, BS stuff. But like I said, how stupid that it's always the customer that gets rained on. Gets peed down our back, and you turn around and look, and it's just Ford and all these companies going, sorry, it's just raining. It's just raining. Don't worry. That's what it is. It's ridiculous that they play these stupid games. Moving on from there, Ford Maverick. Speaking of stupid games again, 25 Maverick prices has increased again since August 2024. Let's take a look and see what we got here. So the XL model increasing by another $2,375. Keep in mind, that is 10% of the price. It increased 10%, not a little. It's not just $2,000. We're talking about what was in 2022 a $20,000 truck. Exactly, $1999. Okay, a $20,000 truck. And so it's increased by 10% again. It brings it up to the base model of this is $26,295, a far cry from the under $20,000 price tag that this was at in 2022. That's simply 3 years ago. This thing has went up that much money. It's insane that it's went up $7,000. That's what? 30%, somewhere in there, is basically 30% increase in 3 years for this truck. However, the 2025 model prices have actually increased even more since they came out with the 2025 prices. Here's where they're at now. The XL went up another $700. Just happened. They're not telling anybody about it. It's quiet, but it went up $700. Okay, you got prices up basically $700 on most trims, $500 to $700 up. Meaning that electrified model now costs $7,100 more than it did when it came out in 2022 for the hybrid. Okay, think about that. It's up $7,100 more. This is crazy, these numbers. This is just, it's makes you really wonder, like I said, the games. As such, it could certainly prove difficult to find a 2025 Maverick with a price tag of less than $30,000 when this was a truck that was boasted, stemmed, and designed and made to be a $20,000 truck 3 years ago. And then when they made it 3 years ago, they made like 13 of them. And people were on 2-year waiting lists. This Maverick has barely been out. It's barely out there in any numbers because they just don't make enough of them. They're selling them like crazy, and that's why they're playing this game. It's all about profit. But what started as a $20,000 vehicle has went up 30% in 3 years on this little bitty truck. Now, I love the Maverick, but now forget it. Well, why would you waste your time on this kind of a price for this truck? It just doesn't, no way, not at this. I'd tell them to kiss my rear end and move on. That's what I would personally do. Anyway, there you go. Questions, thoughts, comments, anything you got, put them down below. Thanks for watching.